Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
We are talking to a living legend right now. As you can see, we have got the one and only Marshall Jefferson in full effect, headphones and all, baseball cap, giving it full style. And here is me looking like a school teacher. You put me to shame. Our first meeting, and you put me to shame.
Well, you're not supposed to have headphones.
Okay,
I'm listening through my headphones.
great. So you're getting me with full clarity.
Right. I'm not. I don't have you on speakers because I'm
Great.
deathly afraid of echo. So
Yeah,
I wear headphones to keep from getting the feedback and the echo. I
great.
might get it anyway, but
Well, let's
I,
hope not.
no.
Okay, guys, welcome to the show. Today we have the legend, Mr. Marshall Jefferson, the father, the father. Some people say the godfather, but I say the father, the creator, man, of Chicago house music. Welcome.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm good.
I like the low key, chilled effect. I like that. Yeah, I'm good. It's like. So you started off with telling me already that that is the 10 City album behind you.
Yes, that's
Which 10 City album is that?
the new one, Judgment.
Right, we will get to that later. But we want to hear the start of the Marshall Jefferson story.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you can leave out the dirt if you want to, okay? If there's any.
I'll try.
Um,
But yeah,
so you're originally from Chicago,
originally from Chicago, born and
right?
raised.
Okay. So your musical journey started when?
When I was 5 years old.
See, they
Uh,
always take me back as far as 5 years old. They always take me back. They take me back to church and they take me back to when they were singing at 3. And, what am I supposed to do?
I
Okay,
was
let's start the story at 5.
5 years old. I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan,
Right.
and like the screaming girls, and all that stuff. And yeah,
Oh, so
it was.
that was what got you hooked on the music, the screaming girls.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm 5 years old, but the admiration, I
Yeah.
thought it was pretty cool.
So you started, what is your instrument? You started playing at what age? Where was your journey beginning?
I started playing, I believe, at age 24, 25.
Right.
And what had happened was there was this DJ named Jesse Saunders, and
Okay.
he had a friend Vince Lawrence, and they put out the first house record. And before that, DJs weren't making records. It was right like regular singers or rappers or something
That's
like
right.
that.
Yeah.
But this was a DJ that I knew. I said, "Wow, he put out a record, an actual record, and it was the
Yeah.
first. It was the first house record, and it wasn't very good. It wasn't very well produced, and everybody said, "Well, I can do better than that, right?" So, uh, coincidentally, the next week, a friend of mine who was a guitar player, he needed a ride to a music store called Guitar Center. So I gave him a ride. I was working at the post office, so I drove him in my '98 Regency. So we got there. The salesman said, "I have this thing. It's a Yamaha QX1. It's a sequencer. With this sequencer, you can play keyboards like Stevie Wonder, even if you don't know how to play at all."
I like it. Like Stevie Wonder. If you can't play at all, you can still play like Stevie.
Yeah, I said, wow. So, my friend, he's like you. He says, man, you got to take lessons. You got to practice. You got to, you can't just jump up and play. Well, I believed him, right? So I said, oh, man, yeah, I want to buy it. How much is it? He said, 3,000. I said, oh, man, I don't have that much, right? He said, well, where do you work? I said, the post office. So, back then, the post office was a lifetime job. He gave me a $10,000 credit line. So I got the QX1. I'm ready to go home. And he said, wait a minute. I said, huh? He said, you got to have a keyboard. You know, it sequences keyboards. If you don't have a keyboard, you won't hear anything. I said, oh, yeah, you're right. Right. So I bought the keyboard. He said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to make records. He said, well, you got to make records. Well, you need a drum machine. I said, oh, yeah, you're right. So I bought a drum machine, right?
This sounds like a comedy sketch, I have to say.
You know, so then, you know, he said, you know, you need a mixer, you know, so you could hear everything at the same time. I said, well, I'm a DJ. I already got a mixer. He said, no, you need a recording mixer. You know, you need, you know, this 8-channel mixer is a good one. This Boss mixer, right? So I bought this Boss 8-channel mixer. They said, you know what else you need? I said, what do I need? I said, you need a multi-track recorder, right? So he sold me this thing called a Tascam Porta 1. Well, I needed it, you know, I needed a recorder too, right? I needed all this stuff, right? And he's, you know, sold me this, a keyboard module and another drum machine, and finally sold me this thing called a Yamaha QX1. I mean, no, a TB303, right? For $150, right? And so I took all this stuff home. My friend was nice enough to tell all my other friends that these, you know, they came by, man, and black people, when they talk about you, man, you feel like you're about this tall, man. Oh man. I mean, they talked about me for 5 hours. I was talking about all this stuff and don't even know how to play it.
How to use it.
Right?
Yeah, that's how we do, unfortunately.
I wrote my first song 2 days later.
Okay.
About a year after that, I had Move Your Body out, and DJs all over the world started hiring keyboard players and telling them to play piano like Marshall Jefferson.
Well, the story had to start somewhere, and you bought enough equipment. You deserved it. You deserved it.
It worked out.
Because you literally bought a studio.
Yes.
You bought a studio.
I bought a studio. Right.
But you know, really and truly, you have become the father of house music. So if you say that somebody had done that before, how did you come and take the crown? Because I mean, Move Your Body came out of nowhere.
Well, it was like, I figure rock and roll had rock around the clock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock. And so when that came out, everybody said, "What's rock and roll?" You know, what's rock? You know, and
right,
you know, that started the whole ball rolling with rock and roll.
Even though rock and roll existed way before that, as we all know,
but that brought it into that gave it the name and
the mainstream.
Mainstream. So with that, Move Your Body says, gotta have house music. With that house music, you know, and so it named the music.
Yeah,
gotta have house, you know, with that house music, you can't go wrong. Give me that house music to set me free. Lost in house music is where I want to be, you know. But house music, house music, right? So
you're sending this subliminal message of house music that people are going to have to ask, what is house music?
Right. And they just listen to that song, and that's house music, you see.
Yeah.
You see, so with that house music, what's house music? Oh, this must be house music.
So that was your first single.
Disco had plenty of songs that had the word disco in them, so you knew what disco was.
Yeah,
right?
true.
Disco Inferno, burn me.
Yeah.
But you know, you had all these songs at the disco, you know, but you know, so I thought it was about time we had a house song, you know.
Yeah, and it's funny that when you explain it in terms like that, it makes perfect sense, because you know they tell you disco nights, rock freak. You know, they were putting that message of disco in your head. You didn't even think about it. You were just listening to it. So it makes
Right.
perfect sense when you explain it like that.
And you knew what disco was when you heard it,
Yeah.
so you know what house is when you hear it, so we have songs now that have house in it, the spirit. Ron Carroll came out with a jam, the spirit of house, but it was he talks about house music, Chuck the Voice Roberts has a song I just mixed, you know, this is Chicago house, right? So
Yeah.
so little reminder for everybody
For everybody.
what it
So,
is.
so you said you had a single before Move Your Body, which
I had
was huge.
practice. Well, I've Lost Control by Sleazy D. That came out, and I had my Virgo EP. Then I had Virgo Go Wild rhythm tracks. That was 8 tracks. The Virgo EP had 4 tracks, and then well, Sleazy D, I've Lost Control. So I had like
Yeah.
13 records out, 13 songs out before Move Your Body. But
Right. As many as that. Okay.
yeah, and also I had a lot of songs that were never released, that weren't released, that were playing in the clubs in Chicago. Move Your Body was playing in the clubs about 8 months before it finally came out on vinyl.
That's usually the way.
So I could go to the music box where Ron Hardy was playing, and he would like set aside an hour and a half to play just my stuff. It was
Right.
wonderful. You know, and I was pretty much anonymous to the world, but in the music box, I was huge.
Yeah,
So
in the circuit, that's always the way. But I mean, when Move Your Body came out, that obviously changed everything because that was on a huge scale. Everybody knew who Marshall Jefferson was then.
yeah, that messed me up a little bit because I had this great nickname. I never had a nickname in my life. I was called Virgo. Everybody was calling me Virgo everywhere I went. And I paid to press up Move Your Body on my label, Other Side Records, right? But
Uh,
when Crack, Cracks on Records owned the record pressing plant, see? And they
right.
found out how popular Move Your Body was in the clubs. They pressed it out up on Cracks Records under Marshall Jefferson. You
Okay.
know, when it was, that's why it says Marshall Jefferson, produced by Virgo. See, I'm both. The artist name was supposed to be On the House.
Okay.
So, you know, that in one fell swoop that killed my nickname Virgo. Nobody wanted anything to do with Virgo anymore. It's Marshall Jefferson, Marshall Jefferson.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being known by your name. That's cool.
But I always wanted a nickname. Man, everybody was calling me Virgo. Yeah, Virgo's here, Virgo, Virgo, and then Marshall Jefferson. Oh,
Yeah, that's my name. It's a bit boring. Okay. So when did you get to work with 10 City? Because I've had the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Byron Stingly as well. And when did that come together?
well, I met Byron down at Tracks, and I'd heard the song that he did with Dead Seven called "Funny Love." I really liked the lyric, right? But like, I didn't like the music.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, "Oh man, I love the song. Who wrote the words?" He said, "I did." Oh man, let's do some work together, right? So we started working together and doing songs, and the next thing I know, we took Byron on the road with us. When we were performing "Move Your Body," and one weekend we had 9 shows in 2 nights, and Byron said, "Hey, let's spend a week and talk to some major labels." Byron scheduled meetings with every major label in New York City,
Wow.
and they got he got a deal with Atlantic, and they hadn't even heard his voice. You know,
Really? Wow.
yeah, yeah. They Hey, yeah, anything you want to do, you just walked in there. We just walked in there and said, yeah, we ready to go. We ready to go. It's, all right. So got a deal for Byron, got a deal for CC Rogers, got a deal for Kym Mazelle, got a deal for On the House, but Larry's, Trax Records claimed that they were signed, and also, Paris Brightledge had a deal with MCA, but Paris is signed with DJ International. But the point is, all the majors were happy to see us and they signed everything. So then they hadn't heard Byron's voice yet. We didn't have a song, but Byron was signed to Atlantic Records, so we had to come up with a group name. And I said Intensity, and Byron changed it to 10 City.
Right.
So then we had to come up with a song, right? So what happens? Boom, we go on a double date with Gigi and Cynthia. Gigi was for me, and Cynthia was for Byron.
Okay.
Cynthia wasn't giving Byron too much play. So Byron went to his secret weapon. He started singing. So I just chipped in a little bit. I started singing some backgrounds. And that's when we came up with Devotion.
Okay.
On a double date. So I said, oh man, Byron, that's cold, right? So I went home and I did the music, and I came back the next day with the song, and Byron said, oh, that's dope. We came up with that. I said, yep. And Devotion was the first 10 City song, and boom, rest is history, I guess.
Devotion was the first one. Yeah, that was the first big one. But then there were so many. Right Back to You, and my favorite, I have to say, is My Piece of Heaven.
My Piece of Heaven. There's a lot of stuff, fantasy. Yeah.
The musicality of My Piece of Heaven is something quite special, I think. Also, Superficial People.
Superficial People.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a lot. We had we had players from the Chicago Symphony Orchestra playing on that.
Yeah, it did.
That whole State of Mind album.
Yeah. But then after all that went quiet, because Byron said that he'd lost his voice and he had to take some time out. What were you doing in that time?
I was DJing.
Right. Okay. Went back to the Wheels of Steel.
Yeah. Well, I'm playing like every weekend for 25 years. And
really?
and I was still talking to Byron every week. We just assumed we would like work together. And 25 years went by, right? And what really kick-started it was our friend Sleazy died.
Right.
And we said, oh, we didn't see that coming, right? But like we were saying, man,
time is short. We don't have much. We don't know how long we've got.
If we're gonna work together, we better do it now. And that's why we hooked up and did this new album.
But it's a beautiful story because you guys, as I said, worked together so many years before, had such heights of success. And, Byron lost his voice, went back to school and is now head teacher and blah, 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 giving something back to the community, which is amazing. But that you guys' road has done this kind of thing here and come back and you're now working together again.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was a great experience.
I'm sure. So tell me about the new album, the new stuff that you've done with Byron.
Well, it was us. We just did our thing, and we wrote songs, and I was in Manchester in the UK, and Byron was in Chicago, and because of the pandemic, we were never in the same room.
Yeah.
So we had to send tracks back and forth, and which worked out pretty good because well, Byron really don't like anybody producing his vocals. You know, so like, you know, we kind of used to have arguments about that stuff. You know, so.
Now, come on, tell us. This is the good stuff. The arguments. What were the arguments you had?
But it worked out good, you know, because you know, Byron did the vocals. He sent them nice and neat over and stuff, and I just put them in over the music, right? And
Okay.
I didn't have to say, "Hey, sing this again, sing this again." Whoa, what you trying to sing this again? That's good enough. You know, so he just sent me the final vocal, and I didn't have to worry about it.
Exactly. You just know what. You know what? I'm not even gonna question it. Just put it in as he's giving it to me.
I think the horn players were in North Carolina. You know, bass player was in Florida. Background vocalist El Boogie, he was in L.A. And all of us just, you know, we just sing our parts, and I just assemble it all in Manchester, and boom,
Right.
got an album.
So is it still as 10 City, or is it just you and Byron?
Well, that's the question. See, me and Byron started out as 10 City.
Okay.
Right. So like when Byron signed to Atlantic, well, he had a solo deal, and they didn't hear his voice, right? Byron didn't want to be a solo act at that time. He wanted to have a group.
Okay.
Right. So he got Byron Burke and Herb Lawson. And you know, which was okay, you know, but like we went from splitting the money 50-50 to, you know, 25
4 ways.
4 ways, you know. And I go, oh man, you know, you're killing me here.
This guy is a killer. He's like,
you know,
oh
so
man,
killing me here, brother. You know, I said, okay, you know, all right. And but it worked out, you know, Byron and her were very talented too. So
okay.
So it worked out.
So new album released, when was it? In March?
No, it was 2 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago. Okay.
Well,
because I spoke to Byron in March. I thought it was close to that time. And what's it called?
We finished the album last year, so we didn't know. The album is called Judgment.
Okay.
This is a partial picture of the album cover.
Of the album cover. It is very reminiscent of old 10 City stuff.
Yes.
It is.
It's the same guys doing it. So
yeah, it's very reminiscent.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you were saying you finished the album last year.
We finished the album last July, I think.
Right.
Maybe even June. But yeah.
So obviously with pandemic and stuff, it put things on hold for release, I guess.
Yeah, well, you know, nobody knew what the move was. You know, nobody really knew what to do. This is kind of uncharted territory. So
yeah. Well, it's really good to see you legends back together. I mean, you know, for me, the name of house music, very distinctive sound. And it's good to see you guys back together and creating all these years later.
Well, it was just a privilege, like being back with my brother. You know, we're making music again and stuff. No matter what it does, you know, we had this experience and stuff. And we're talking about doing a new album, you know, right now within the next couple of months. So that's good.
Right. Okay. So you're on a roll again.
Well, hope so.
So what about promotion for this new album? Are you going to be traveling when things open back up? What is the plan?
If things open back up, I'm pretty sure I'll play somewhere. You know, I have things scheduled, but you know, like I actually played July July 3rd in LA, right? Well, not
Right.
in LA, San Bernardino, because it got canceled, and the San Bernardino NOS Center
Right.
agreed to let them move it to there.
Okay.
So it almost got canceled, but it didn't get canceled. But
Yeah, yeah.
know,
They were able to find a substitute venue in time. Yeah.
right. But things are really shaky now. You can't really count on uh, you know, gigs and stuff.
Yeah.
So
A lot of
uh,
people are saying that because of the unsurety and it's
right,
ever evolving. And this week you get this information and next week it changes. So, people are a little reticent to book stuff and hire out big venues and then, canceled.
right. So that's why you know, I'm gonna keep recording music until they figure it out when we can go out and play again.
Yeah. Because I mean, the thing is, why I started this was because I wanted to find out how the people that we have admired in music over the years were handling lockdown. Because in actual fact, we were using your music to get us through lockdown. On the bad nights, we would be having a glass of wine with Marshall Jefferson in the background, and suddenly everything seemed okay. And I thought, let's find out how Marshall Jefferson handled it all.
Well, man, I just went deep into record mode, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did a few things. I did a few remixes, and I did the album, and a couple of solo records, and yeah, I just locked down into recording, which
yeah,
was fun because I hadn't really done it in a while. When you get back from the weekend, usually you pretty like run down, and you spend the week like revving back up for the next weekend. It's a mental
yeah.
experience, right? And it's not really conductive to creating and recording stuff, So that's
Because you're literally working and recovering, working and recovering.
working and recovering,
Yeah,
every weekend. You catch a flight, you go somewhere, and then you're out like a day or two later, and by the time you get home, you just want to
and
you
God
know
knows we're not as young as we used to be, right? So,
yeah.
you know, so that hammers the body in a different way from it did 30
Yeah.
years ago.
Well, I planned on retiring anyway. I in 2019 I posted on Facebook that I was going to retire January 1st, 2021. Right. So last year was supposed to be like my farewell tour, and because of the pandemic, it just cut the whole thing off. So the gigs, like the gigs I have now, are mostly rescheduled.
Right.
So I don't know, man. I want to play to help things get started back up again. You
See,
know,
I think you were just probably in a bit of a fed up mode because things were being canceled. So you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to retire. You can't retire.
no,
You'll have
nothing
people
was
knocking on your door.
no, nothing was being canceled at that time in 2019.
Well,
Nothing.
that's true.
I just said, hey, I'm 2021, January 1st, 2021, I'm done. I'm gonna play this year out. I'm gonna play 2020 out. And I had a lot of gigs scheduled, and then January 1st, 2021, I'm done.
Okay.
And but it didn't work out that way. 2020 got canceled because
Literally.
because of the pandemic, and you know, man, I got gigs rescheduled until like October of 2022. You
Yeah,
know,
I guess because people are rescheduling and you've got a lot of catching up to do a whole
yes,
year.
yeah,
So
I play all the reschedules, and I go for retiring in 2023 now.
that's not gonna happen. Okay. You'll exactly look at the look on your face. That's not gonna happen. You know it. you'll get a vibe and you'll be like, yeah, you know, Byron, what do you think about this? Yeah. Or he's going to send you something. Marshall, what do you think about this? And then here we have album number 3. Okay, so
No, I'm retiring from live performances.
okay, yeah,
No. The plan was to always to record. I'm gonna stop DJing live.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm planning on stopping. But even when I do that, I'm going to still record.
yeah. Well, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. Well, all the best with your new album, mister.
And thank you.
All the best. Thank you for talking to us at the BTM Club. We really appreciate it. And we love hearing our stories being told directly by the living legends, you know, the inspirational stories, because I think they will inspire the next generation that want to do stuff, you know, and they need to hear it directly from you. You don't look so sure. But,
Well, you know, it's a lot of the stuff when I started don't really apply now. You know, so really have an appreciation for somebody that makes it now, because it's a
yeah,
lot.
absolutely. But
A
I
lot
think
more.
the journey, as you say, you know, is inspirational for anybody that starts, and you know, it lets them know it's not that easy. You have to buy a studio piece by piece, sold to you by a friend. You know, so
But the
that's
point is, you know, non-musicians started making music, right? Which is,
yeah,
you know, I a lot of my friends in Chicago started making music. They weren't really musicians either. You know, I
okay.
guess I'm not a very threatening guy because all my friends think they're smarter than me. They say, well, Marshall could do it. I could do it too. You know what? So,
No.
so they started playing. So they started making records too. A bunch of guys that I started out with, you know,
Yeah.
weren't musicians. So you know that it worked out.
They learned along the way, though. They
It's
learned
all
along the
here.
way.
Confidence, you know. It's all up
Yep.
here.
Believe it. Believe it. Well, thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
for sharing your story with us. Or
Thanks
at
for
least
listening.
a part of it. A part of it.
Part
So
of
all
it.
the best with the album. And we look forward to seeing more from this Intensity 10 City duo in the years to come.
I'm pretty sure we'll come up with something real nice.
I'm sure you will. To see it after 25 years, you know, it never ends. It just goes on. For as long as you two are still in contact, it just goes on. So,
Right.
you know, fantastic. Thank you so much. Be
And thank
well and every
okay.
success. And of
All right.
course, I will have to come back for a part 2 at some stage. You know that, right?
Okay.
Okay. You take care. All the best.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.